Hey, good morning everybody, it's Corey here, and it is Tuesday morning here in Vietnam. I do want to mention that it's going to be a very long video. There are many questions that you guys asked, so if you want to skip to a specific question, just go to the description box down below. There'll be a list of all the different questions plus a timestamp. Just click the timestamp, it'll take you directly to the question that you want to know the answer to, or you could just watch this entire video from beginning to end. I do want to say thank you to everybody who contributed questions to all of my social media links. You guys can check them out as I go through it here on the screen, and you can see the site. If you're not following or subscribing to any of those social media links, make sure you click the subscribe or follow button. It's going to really help me out, and it's a good way for me to keep in touch with you. You can ask questions, and we have a lot of back and forth. So let's go ahead and get right into this, guys. I do have my cup of coffee here. Vietnamese coffee. So good. All right, guys, the first place we're gonna look is my YouTube channel, Feed the Corey. We're gonna go right to the community tab and scroll down to my post. Send me your questions. Down below here, you guys asked a lot of questions. First one, David Huang. What do you think of Vietnamese people and their culture, including their crazy hype over soccer? From David, a Vietnamese dude living in Australia. Thanks, David, for the question. I do want to say that Vietnamese people are extremely friendly. They're so nice, and the culture is wonderful. The food is fantastic. The music is very interesting. The traditional dresses and stuff are just really beautiful. And then the architecture, daily life, like everything is just so really interesting and cool here. So I really love Vietnamese people and the culture. And about the soccer hype, I was completely shocked. I did not expect what happened during the semifinals game when Vietnam beat Qatar and went on to the finals. That day, when just all of Vietnam celebrated like crazy, that took me off guard. I knew that Vietnam loved soccer, but I didn't know that they loved soccer that much. So it was really interesting to see just a sudden eruption of partying after just a semifinals game. So next question we have from Pain Revenge. What's up, Pain Revenge? How much longer will you stay in Vietnam? And personal follow-up, my apologies if it's too all up in your grill, bro. But what about famous red nails? I think he's referring to my girlfriend. And if you do decide to move again. P.S. Loving the constant videos, bro. Awesome. Thanks, Pain Revenge. I don't know how much longer I'll stay in Vietnam. I think it's going to be at least another year or two for sure. I just love living here. The cost of living is great. The food is great. The people are great. And I've only just started to scratch the surface of this country, I feel. So I really want to spend a little bit more time here and really get to know this country. I don't know exactly how long I'll be here. As for my girlfriend, about famous red nails, a lot of people still ask about that, like when am I gonna reveal her face? Many of you might have not seen the Na Chang video I did with my girlfriend in it, and it's just her hand. So a lot of people were wondering, why is it just her hand? And it's because she requested not to have her face shown in any videos. She doesn't want to be filmed for YouTube. So please respect that. But she did allow me to post one photo on Instagram. If you check out Feed the Corey at Instagram, you'll find a photo of me and my girlfriend. Loving Life Fam, cost of living in Vietnam. It's not really a question, it's more of like declaring a statement. But I don't mind talking about it. Cost of living here is extremely affordable. If you've seen my recent video about the $300 rooftop apartment, that's where I'm at now. $300 can get you a rooftop apartment in central Hanoi. It's totally possible. And you can find even cheaper than that if you want to find a room in like a shared apartment where you share the kitchen or possibly a bathroom with other tenants in the building. You can go as low as like $150 per month for a pretty nice size room. And it's fully furnished and has maid service and all that stuff. So it's very affordable to live here. Food, guys, food is insane. Street food, I found street food as cheap as 10 cents per item. Average bowl of pho is going to be about $1.30. And of course, the other things, if you go to the supermarket, there's just so much stuff that's very affordable. You could do like a week's worth of grocery shopping for like 20 bucks. It's very nice. Of course, these things could cost a lot more depending on your lifestyle. So if you want to go out all the time, if you want to eat at Western restaurants and ride around in taxis all day, that'll just run up your budget like extremely. So, you know, for me, I like to keep it chill. I eat mainly Vietnamese food all the time, just locally. And so I'm not spending too much money. Once in a blue moon, I'll end up splurging on some kind of like a hamburger or a pizza. But just in general, like eating Vietnamese food every day is going to save you a lot of money. And it's not bad for you. It's actually really good stuff. There's a lot of vegetables. And so you could actually like lose weight just eating Vietnamese food. Next question is from Voice to Voiceless. Are you going to use the 360 camera again? Maybe show us Vietnamese streets in that manner. Yes, absolutely. I would love to show you guys some 360 videos in the future where you can just like manually move your finger around on your phone. You know, you can swipe it like this and then that controls your view, or you can hold it like this and wherever you look is going to change your viewpoint. 360 video is an awesome thing. I'm really glad that I got to dabble in it early on, and it's just developing so rapidly now. So I will definitely be doing 360 videos. Stay tuned for those. Next question is from Hugh Huang. Has it been easy for you to make friends in Hanoi? Who have you been hanging out with while you've been there? That's an interesting question. So has it been easy for you to make friends in Hanoi? Yeah, like, so here's the thing. I'm very introverted. Like, I prefer to just be at home by myself. Like, I like quiet time and stuff, so I'm not actively going out seeking friends. Over the course of like 7 months living here, I've met some really cool people. People have reached out to me and we've met up. Just very friendly, amazing, just good-hearted people. And I hang out with them once in a while. Like, I don't meet up like all the time, like weekly or even monthly. You know, that's just my own fault. It's just me being introverted and wanting some time to myself. Introverts, you guys know what I'm talking about. But it's easy to make friends. If you go out there and you just like start a conversation with anybody, you can easily just talk with people and people will befriend you. Vietnamese people are very warm and friendly, so it's not like super hard to just meet people, you know what I mean? As for who I've been hanging out with while I've been there, there's one person I've hung out with more than anyone else, and that's Charlie from Charlie Cheer. And it's because I know her. I know her from a long time ago, from in Korea, from like 2014 or so. And then even in 2015, her and Evan and Rachel and we helped organize Seoul Tube. I have history with Charlie and we like to hang out. We have the same interests and stuff. So that's pretty much who I've been mainly hanging out. When I do go out and hang out with people, it's always with Charlie. Andrew 102, do many people know English in Vietnam? This is hard to answer because I can't speak for all the Vietnamese people. I can't speak for the people that live out in the countryside. I have no idea what their English capabilities are like, but I can speak for Hanoi. Hanoi is obviously the capital of Vietnam. There are a lot of universities here. There are a lot of highly educated people. In Vietnam, kids are learning English from the time that they're babies. You know, parents are playing English lullabies to them, reading them ABC books and stuff. And then they get enrolled into like a English language school or English preschool, English kindergarten. These days, I think there's more English capable speaking younger people than there are older people. But there are quite a lot of older people that I've met that speak English very well. So I can't really answer specifically like what percentage of Vietnamese people know English. But I do want to say that a lot of people do know some English. And so if you just speak slowly, speak clearly, some people will attempt to communicate back with you with the English that they know. Even if they don't know English, they might understand what you're saying and they might only speak Vietnamese, and you can work it out like through body language and stuff. People are very friendly here. Don't be afraid to ask people for help. Helen Lam asks, if you don't have any other income, can you maintain a good living only by teaching? Income over expenses. Yeah, so it's totally possible that you could maintain like a good lifestyle here just by teaching. If you teach in like a public school full-time, some places pay as much as like $2,000 per month, and that's more than enough to survive in Vietnam. And if you're on that kind of an income and you just like maintain your budget, you're not going out and you're not blowing all your money at the bar, you're not going to like Western restaurants every single day. If you are reasonable with your spending, if you save a lot right away in the beginning when you get your paycheck, it's very possible, very easy to maintain a good lifestyle here. Okay, next question is by Jess__. Says, what is your favorite dishes in Vietnam so far? What foods or fruits you can't eat? In the north, here in Hanoi, I really just enjoy northern style pho. It's simple, you know. You don't have to add in like hoisin and sriracha sauce and all this stuff and make it crazy. It's simple and it just tastes really good. I also like bún đào mắm tôm, and I think that has to be one of my favorite Vietnamese dishes in general, like of all time. I've had some really good stuff down in central Vietnam, like Da Nang. There was mi quang and khao lao. Those were really good. Some good seafood in that area. Nha Trang is the furthest south I've ever been, and Nha Trang had some amazing seafood, but I don't know the names of the dishes. I haven't been to Saigon yet, so I don't really know like what is down there and what the different tastes are like down there, but I do know that it's a little bit more spicy and a little bit more sweet, I guess, compared to northern style cuisine. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going down there and trying that stuff. And what foods or fruits you can't eat? I pretty much eat anything. Like, I'm an adventurous eater, so I'll try anything at least once, and you know, if I don't like it, I just won't ever try it again, but at least I'll try it. There's one thing here that I know for sure that I'll never try, and that's thịt chó, and that is a dog meat, and they sell dog meat here like all over, and you know, the dogs like burnt up bodies on display in the street. Like, it is a thing here. I know that in certain areas, like I think in the south, like people eat rat. I haven't heard or seen any pictures about cat. Yeah, I might try rat if I had the chance to, just to say I've done it. I've never had rat before. As for fruits, I eat anything, even durian. I love durian, I love jackfruit. I love all fruits, but there's one fruit that I had here that's, I don't know the name of it, but it's similar to a persimmon, like the inside, the texture and the taste, like how sweet it is. And for me, that's just way too sweet. It was like eating molasses. Like, it tasted like molasses. It was just like way too overpowering in the fruit. Like, I had one bite of that fruit and I was just like, no thanks. It's just way too sweet. I really don't like sweet things. Fruit, I don't mind if it's like sour. I don't mind if it's like really tart, even just a little sweet. But when it's like heavy sweet, like a persimmon or something like that, it's just too much for me. I won't eat it. Skitterleap asks, any mistakes you could have or wished you had avoided before, during, after moving to Vietnam? Any regrets? That is such a loaded question, guys. I don't even know how to answer that. So I'm just gonna say this. We all go through life with some form of regret, whether it's, you know, regretting not saying I love you to someone for the last time before they passed away, or not saying thank you to the right person, or you know, regretting not standing up for someone who's being bullied in front of you, or something like that. You know, I think most people go through life with regrets, and that's just part of life. And this brings me to a quote that my English teacher in high school, Miss Fox, told me: a life with regrets is a life not worth living. And you know, when you think about it, if you're on your deathbed and you think back to like all the different things that you did in your life, you should be happy that you experienced that. Whether it was good, whether it was bad, you shouldn't regret it. Maybe some things didn't work out the way you thought they were. Maybe some things were ruined. Maybe you lost something. That's life, you know? And so if you go through life with regrets, it's just gonna drag you down, I think. But we shouldn't forget the past. I don't know what I'm rambling on about, because this is a seriously like philosophical question about regret. So for me personally, yes, I did have some regrets before coming to Vietnam. I did have some regrets during my stay here in Vietnam. Yeah, I'm just not gonna go into full details, because then this would be a whole video about regret. The next question is from Kamaika77. Says, hey there, Corey, I have a few questions if you don't mind. How would you compare the culture of the city you live in on a global scale? For example, does it have as much new old culture as Seoul did? Hanoi is actually over 1,000 years old. This city reached its 1,000 mark, the millennial mark, I think in 2010. Seoul, I don't know exactly when it became a city. Both Seoul and both Hanoi have like really old architecture. There's all kinds of old temples and shrines. There's some really old buildings that have just survived through time. And you get modern buildings and stuff sprinkled all throughout the city. For Hanoi, it's a mix of the old and new, just like Seoul. Now, I do have to say, Seoul is way more modern, way more clean, and way more developed in terms of infrastructure and modernization and technology. Hanoi does not have a subway system. It does have some train lines, but no one really uses them. Everyone just rides motorcycles. And I heard that the government is trying to ban all motorcycles in Hanoi by 2030. That sounds a little ridiculous, but I see what they're trying to aim for. Maybe they're trying to become a more like safe city to walk and drive in, such as like Tokyo or Seoul or something. You know, they're trying to reach for that kind of a city. There's plans to build all kinds of different train lines here. I don't know if they're going to be underground like a subway style, or if it's going to be above ground like elevated, similar to like Bangkok or Taipei. Hanoi is a wonderful city, just like any other major city in the world. You definitely should come here, check it out. There's a lot of history, a lot of culture, a lot of beautiful architecture. It's really cool here, guys. Okay, so Kamaika77, you've asked way too many questions. I'm not gonna answer the rest of them in this video, but if you wanna see the answer, if anyone else is curious about the answer, I'll just type it in my community tab. That way you can see the answer to these questions. Let's go to Shrimp Skin. Are you teaching English as well as YouTube? Also, is it difficult to get a job teaching English in Vietnam without previous experience? Currently, I am not teaching English. I do voice recording and like green screen filming and acting and stuff for an English education company. So I'm not actually directly teaching children or adults. Like I'm just facing a camera just like this, and I'm reading a script, and I'm helping people with phonics and pronunciation, stuff like that. I guess it's technically teaching English, but indirectly. As for if it's difficult to get a job teaching English without previous experience, it might be. It just depends. When you come here to this country and you're looking for an English teaching job, if you have experience teaching, you're probably gonna get hired right away. They care more about your experience teaching children or adults rather than like your qualifications. You could have all the qualifications in the world and not know how to teach. You know what I'm saying? So it might be just a little bit more difficult, but it's not impossible. There are people that have never ever taught in their lives before that come here and they just get a job and they get into it and they fall in love with teaching, or you know, it's just a way for them to pay rent as they're passing through Vietnam and other countries. English teaching is a great way to make money as you travel. Nuak Y asks, how much is your current expenses per month apart from rent? I haven't been here for a full month, so I can't really tell you what my utilities are gonna be like in this place. I'm gonna guess that my electric bill is gonna be around 10 bucks, you know, give or take like a few dollars. I think that's just average. That's just what I've been paying at my other place. For food, I do grocery shopping at the local market. I could spend 20 bucks and have groceries for a whole week, or I could just go and eat out all the time. Vietnamese street food is so cheap. A bowl of pho is like $1.30. You know, you can go to the convenience store, you can go to the local corner markets, and you could just buy all kinds of stuff. And it's very cheap, it's very affordable. I just tend to go towards the local style living, local foods, local drinks, and I try to avoid eating Western food as much as I can. All the stuff that I would eat back in the States, like I just don't eat here. And I would just rather eat cheap, delicious Vietnamese food. There's another question by Nuak Y. Do you find it safe to live there for a female? I'm gonna say it is safe. There's a lot of expat women that have been living and teaching and traveling in Vietnam. You know, there's people that are based here and they travel solo backpacking all around the world, all around Southeast Asia, and they don't have any troubles here, so it's totally possible. Do you need to apply permit for permanent stay? What's the criteria? I cannot answer this question because I don't know. I haven't looked at any information about staying permanently, but a Google search will help you find that. Huyen asks, what is the best food you can cook, and what Vietnamese food do you want it be cooked most from your girlfriend? Okay, so I've been cooking Korean food since I was like in high school, I think. I learned before that, like in middle school or something. Like my mom taught me how to cook like doenjanjjigae, kimchi jjigae and stuff. Like as I was growing up. I don't remember exactly how old I was when I learned how to cook those things. But for me, like those are what I cook the best. When I cook them, I don't even follow a recipe. I just know how to do it and I know how to make it taste good. I also like Korean barbecues. So I would say like kimchi jjigae, doenjanjjigae, and like Korean barbecue are like the best things I know how to cook, just like without looking at any kind of a recipe. As for what Vietnamese food do I want most from my girlfriend? I don't know, she's such a good cook. I don't know when she learned to cook, but definitely probably a young age. Most Vietnamese women learn to cook before they're 15 years old, how to cook for the whole family. When my girlfriend cooks for me, she makes like some really amazing soups, nem, all kinds of different things. Like I don't even know where to start. Anything that she cooks is just always delicious. So I look forward to like anything that she cooks. Nana Starless Knight 99 asks, how well do you have to know Vietnamese to live in Vietnam? Did you study the language for a long time before officially moving? Lastly, what are some language barrier challenges you still face, if any? So for the first question, you don't have to know any Vietnamese to live here at all. Like you could totally survive not knowing a single word of Vietnamese. It is completely possible, but I highly recommend you to at least learn some basic Vietnamese. Learn how to count from 1 to 10. That's gonna help you with buying stuff and like telling time or, you know, counting things. Learn some basic phrases, hello, goodbye, thank you, how much is this, where is this? That's gonna help you a long way. Just knowing like 5 basic phrases and how to count is gonna help you in Vietnam so much. Did I study before moving? I did study a week before moving here, and it was just some basic greetings I learned on YouTube. So when I came here, I knew how to count from 1 to 10, and I knew how to say hello, thank you, and I think that's about it. Unfortunately, I haven't been studying. I do need to get off my ass and pick up some books, start watching more Vietnamese language videos on YouTube, and try to like really learn the language a little bit better, because I have a Vietnamese girlfriend and it would be nice to communicate with her in Vietnamese, as well as anybody else I encounter in Vietnam. So there is still a language barrier, and there probably will be for quite a long time, but I'm not giving up. James Leh asks, how long do you plan to live in Vietnam? And if not long, where will you go next? Or will you go back to your home country? So as stated before in a previous question, I have no idea how long I'm gonna be in Vietnam for. I'm thinking at least a year or two. If I was to leave Vietnam, where would I go? I think I might try to go back to my home country of Japan. Japan is my birthplace, it's my home. I know it very well. I miss it a lot. And another question from James. And if you plan to go back to your home country, what is your next career plan? I don't know what my next career plan is. It's probably going to be related to something like art related or video, like film production related, hopefully in those fields. All right, let's go to my Facebook for Feed the Corey right here. Feed the Corey, make sure you follow me on Facebook if you haven't. I got 3 questions here. First one from Tanner Hooper. What is the craziest party you've ever attended? What? I don't even know how to answer this question. I used to party a lot, and I've been to some really crazy parties. I can't think of the most craziest party off the top of my head. One was like somewhere in a farm field up in like the mountainsides of Hilo. It was crazy. Like there was hundreds and hundreds of cars of just all these people that showed up. Everyone's drunk, there was fighting, you know, people were like smoking weed everywhere, and it was just like insane farm style party and cars just everywhere. It was a lot of people, and then eventually the police came and broke that up. Julie asks, what is your favorite moment in Hanoi? So hands down, my favorite moment in Hanoi was from like just the other week when Vietnam beat Qatar in the semifinals for the AFC U23. Just go check out that video. You can see the entire country just went nuts, and everybody was partying in the street, motorcycles everywhere, Vietnamese flags like waving all over the place, just red and yellow all over. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like that before, and that was probably my most favorite moment in Hanoi so far. Andrew Stubberfield asks, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I do not know. I might still be here in Vietnam. I might be in a different country. I have no idea about that. Hopefully I'm still doing this YouTube thing and sharing, you know, my life and my travels and food and stuff with you guys. Maybe I'll be married and have children by then. I literally have no idea. All right, let's go check out Twitter. And I think there was only one question on Twitter. It was from The Wave here, Dear With That. Says, how do you make money living in Vietnam? What type of jobs are you doing? Are there any difficulties living in Vietnam? So as I mentioned earlier, I'm doing like voice recording and like green screen filming and acting for an English education company. That's how I make some of my income. I also make passive income through ad revenue on YouTube, paid through Google, and then as well as all my patrons on Patreon who are awesome and pledge some money towards me. And once in a while, I'll see some jobs posted that are kind of just like one-off things, like, hey, need a cameraman for just like one day, someone that knows how to hold a camera or something, and then like I'll go do that. Or I might see someone that just needs like a one-time gig of, hey, I just need one person with an American accent that can read like 2 pages worth of text and record it. It should take like 30 minutes. We'll pay you $20. So you find those little things and you try to like just make as much money as possible here and there. As for difficulties living in Vietnam, I think the biggest difficulty for anyone not Vietnamese is the language barrier. But that can be solved, you know, with studying and whatnot. Outside of that, I think culturally it's very easy to, you know, live here. You know, if you're on a tourist visa, you do have to do a visa run every 90 days. That can be a little bit annoying. So actually coming up very soon, I'm going to be doing a visa run. And when I come back into Vietnam, instead of getting a tourist visa, I'm going to be getting a 1-year business visa. And on a business visa, you just pay for it. You don't have to like have a business or a contract or anything like that to show that you own a business, but you just pay the money. It's a little bit more than a tourist visa, and you don't have to leave the country every 90 days. So that's gonna be such a good thing for saving money and just like allowing me to like focus on staying in Vietnam and not having to worry about like, oh, my next flight out and, you know, renewing my tourist visa every single time. Okay, last but not least, we have my Instagram post asking for your questions, and we got a lot of them here. Thank you guys, so cool. Let me zoom in real quick so we can see the text a little bit better. Quinby123, what is your day job? Okay, I just mentioned that in my previous answer. Starry MK asks, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? That's a tough question to answer. Mainly because I haven't been to all the countries to know whether I want to live there or not. I'm sure there's some wonderful countries out there I would live in a heartbeat. Out of the countries I've been to, I would definitely live in Italy. Roma was beautiful, Firenze, amazing. When I stayed in Furore along the Amalfi coast, Positano, Amalfi, Furore, like just that whole coastline was so gorgeous. The Italian food, the Italian people, is just such a wonderful culture, wonderful history there. That's probably where I would live if I could choose anywhere and I had the money. My friend Francis Manolato Official, check out his photos on his Instagram, says, are you a little spoon or big spoon? And then my reply was, ha 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 ha, you can be my big spoon any day. That's right, Frank, you can be my big spoon any day. Asian Please asks, I hate when you ask for questions and I can't think of any, but when you don't ask, I have so many. Ugh, LOL. So I guess KFC chicken or Korean fried chicken. If you were to eat one forever, please tell me you've had KFC before. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm from Japan. KFC's all over Japan. I've eaten Kentucky Fried Chicken in the States as well. But in the States, I prefer Popeye's chicken or Church's chicken. Way better than KFC. KFC sucks in the States. But between KFC and Korean fried chicken, probably Korean fried chicken. If you guys don't know, Korea does fried chicken amazing. There's so many different styles to it. There's like fried chicken styles from the 90s. There's fried chicken styles of now, like fusion styles. There's just such a good variety. Okay, and Tikti asks, what is your perfect day in Hanoi? Cat smiley face. My perfect day in Hanoi, I think, would be when it's nice and sunny, but it's not super humid and it's not super hot. I don't know exactly when that happens in the year, but I think in October or September or October, the weather was just so nice. It was sunny and it wasn't overbearing. It was just like really beautiful. Yeah, so I prefer like those days, like blue skies. So cries on vacation, does this mean cries on vacation? Or is it like Kryson vacay? Anyway, cries on vacay asks, what do you miss about Korea? I definitely miss my family, my Korean family. They all live there still. And I miss my friends, and I definitely miss the food. Min Hong asks, do you like Lotteria food? Like hamburger? Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. No. No, Lotteria, it's so not good. Lotteria is notorious for not being fast food, even though they are fast food. So for example, in Korea, you go to Lotteria, you think like, hey, I'm gonna get a hamburger, it's gonna be a quick in and out, and then you order your food and it takes them like 15 minutes to cook your burger. And then over here, it's even worse. Like they're just so slow on bringing your food. Like you order your food and like 30 minutes goes by and then you get your burger and then your burger is like a piece of crap. So Lotteria, no fast food. Cameron87, this is my buddy from Hawaii. When are you coming back to Hawaii? I would love to go back and visit Hawaii, but I'm definitely not gonna move back to Hawaii. I've lived there 3 different times in my life. Done with Hawaii. Hawaii is in my heart for sure. I got that aloha spirit, but yeah, it's just way too expensive there, man. And you know, I got the island fever when I was there. It's not good. So yeah, I don't know when I'll visit. I'll let you know. You need to come with Angela to Vietnam. Rara Rachel 92 asks, what is the #1 mistake you see tourists and foreigners make while in Vietnam? The biggest mistake I see like all the time with foreigners is crossing the street. It's one thing to ride a motorcycle in all of Hanoi traffic. It's another to walk in it. It can be dangerous if you don't know how to cross the street. So in Vietnam, when you cross the street, you just go. The motorcycles and cars will not stop. So you go and you keep a steady pace and you don't stop. You know, look at the vehicles and you kind of know that like, okay, this motorcycle is gonna pass this way, so I'm gonna aim like behind the motorcycle, so the timing is just right, so we just pass each other. With cars, do not try to walk in front of a car. You let the car go. The car will not stop. It will run you over, like not kidding, it will run you over. But for tourists, I see them doing the hesitation. They walk out and then they stop. And then the motorcycle almost hits them, and then so they try to run forward, and then they almost run into another vehicle. So that's like one of the biggest mistakes I see tourists make, is not committing and not walking at a steady, slow pace across the street. They do the stop, go, and that throws the drivers off, and that leads to a lot of injuries and possible death. So I do see a lot of foreigners falling for scams, and that's not their fault. Like they just don't know any better. When you've been here for like 7-8 months like I have, you kind of know all the scams and you know how to avoid them. You just essentially just walk. You just keep walking. The scammers will try to hit you up. You just say no and you just walk. But a lot of these tourists or foreigners like just coming in and they're like fresh in the country for the first time, they fall for the scams like all the time. You know, the lady putting the basket thing on your shoulder and then putting the straw hat on your head and haha, you take a picture. Oh, okay, yeah, very cute. Now you give me money. You give me 20 bucks, and then they make a scene if you don't pay them. I've seen tourists fall for that scam. Also for the little ciclos, the like kind of like rickshaw bicycle things where you sit in the front and then the guy's on the back pedaling you around. That should be very cheap. It should be like 50,000 to 100,000 at the most for your ride around Old Quarter. But I've seen some of these Ciclo guys ripping off people for 500,000 or more, and the tourists don't know that that is a ripoff. You know what I'm saying? So scams, tourists falling for scams is a thing I've seen in person, and it sucks. Okay, I got another question from Hooper. He asked a question earlier, I think on Facebook, but this one's on Instagram. It says, what's your favorite place you've ever lived? I've lived in some cool places. I've lived on a Kona coffee farm. You know, I grew up in Japan. That's a cool place, a cool country. I would say that Vietnam is the most unique place I've lived in so far. It's just completely different from anywhere else I've ever lived. In Asia in general, I would say that Japan is probably my favorite place, even more than Korea, even though I am Korean blooded. Just Japan is home, you know, it's home to me. I'm very comfortable there. So I've had a lot of my fun childhood memories there, fun teenage memories there. It's just one of my favorite places of all time. Okay, next question is by Noshing Abroad 2. What made you want to vlog about your life? Was it a monetary gain or was it something that interested you? This is a very good question. I started YouTubing in like October 2012 when I was living in Baltimore. And at that time, I was going through this like really tough time and I was looking to get out of America. And so I was actually doing a lot of research about moving to Korea. And that's when I discovered all the Korean like famous YouTubers at that time. So it was like Steve Miller, aka the Chi Ranger. There was Hyunwoo from Talk to Me in Korean. We had Evan and Rachel, Charlie Cheer, Noi Alonzo. Oh yeah, and of course like Eat Your Kimchi, Simon and Martina. So like it was at that time I was like really into those videos, and I figured I knew I was going to go to Korea. I wanted to document that somehow so I could share it with my family and with my friends. So that's essentially how I started vlogging. The passion to make videos has been something I've been very interested in for a very long time. When I was in high school in Japan, I used to do a lot of skateboarding off base with all the Japanese locals. And so I think it was my 16th birthday or 16th Christmas, my mom bought a small little VHS camera that did like the mini VHS tapes. And it was like one of the first smaller camcorders, not the large shoulder size ones, but it was like the smaller ones like this. And it had the flip out screen and everything. And I even bought like a fisheye lens for it, and I would do skate videos and just like videos off base in Japan. Like in my high school years, I'd film like, you know, hanging out with my Japanese friends that were like in lowrider car clubs. I even filmed like Nampa and stuff. If you don't know what Nampa is, just do a Google search. But I filmed that. It was like ridiculous, but it was cool documenting that stuff. And that's like 1996, 1997 at that point. And then my high school also had a video yearbook. So instead of just like a regular yearbook, they also had a video yearbook. It was a VHS tape of all the highlights of the school year that you could buy. And I was on the video yearbook team. And so we would use the old machines, the tape splicing machines with the little knobs, and like splice different sections and cut it over to the other tape. Like it was old school style editing. It was before like computer toasters were out there. Video editing software wasn't really available to the public. You had to be really rich in order to afford that stuff. You know, YouTube didn't exist back then. So around this time in Japan, in my high school years, I was also like walking around the city. I was exploring all the alleys and back ways. I was finding shortcuts. I was, you know, walking along the train tracks to different places. I was doing all these kind of walks that I wanted to capture on film. So come 2013, when I moved to Korea, GoPro was out and stabilizers started to come out. And so for me, that was like the best way to capture that experience I had from my high school years, you know, walking through the alleys and the side streets and stuff. And so I applied that history of mine to the walking videos in Korea. And so that's why you see I have all these Seoul walk videos, and I've been doing the walking videos here in Vietnam too. It's just, that goes back to like my high school years. So there's always been this passion of sharing my experiences of walking around and seeing the city, seeing the streets, seeing the hidden places. That was the passion. There was no like thought about money at all. Rio931 says, I missed your videos about Korea. Aren't you going to return to South Korea? Are you planning to stay longer in Vietnam? As mentioned before, I don't know how long I'll be in Vietnam for. As for returning to Korea, I definitely will go back and visit my family and friends, as well as go make some videos around Seoul and elsewhere. But I probably will not live in Korea. This Diana Nasir says, what are the top 3 things you have enjoyed doing the most in Hanoi so far? Have you met any memorable strangers or witnessed something incredible that Vietnamese do? I enjoy walking and exploring. That's like number 1. Just looking at the architecture, witnessing daily life on the streets, being in the mess of the traffic and the people, and just all the smells of the food and everything. Like, I really enjoy that. Second thing is how affordable the food is. And the food is really good. Like, northern Vietnamese cuisine is actually really, really awesome. Like, I love the simplicity of it. And the third thing that I enjoy most about doing in Hanoi, just living here, I guess. Like, I don't know, like, I'm in my new apartment here on the roof, and I enjoy, you know, hanging out outside. I hang out inside and looking outside when it's too cold to go out there. You know, I enjoy just chilling. So I appreciate my private time, and Vietnam is a good place to just kind of like get away a little bit and get into your head and like think about things. Have I met any memorable strangers? Yes, I've had several subscribers of the YouTube channel like flag me down and come up and say hi, and we've taken photos together. You can check that out on Instagram. I have a few photos. There's been a few times where I just befriended someone at like the restaurant. You know, they saw me going there like every week, and then so they finally came up and said hi. So there's some cool cool people here that I met that way. And then as far as witnessing something incredible, as I stated before, it was the day Vietnam beat Qatar in the semifinals for the AFC U23. That was the most incredible thing I've seen Vietnamese people as a whole do. Like, it was really cool. Marilyn W says, I'm curious, does your rooftop pond have a water circulation pump? Yes, it does. I know in my walking tour video it wasn't on, but I've been messing around with the features outside, looking and following the pipes and seeing where all the different valves and whatever are. And so I figured out that there's actually 2 pumps in there, and I've been running one of them so far, and I've attached a filter as well. So there is a circulation pump. That's good news. But I think I have to just drain out the entire pond first, because there's way too much algae in there at the bottom, and it just needs a good, wipe out and a cleaning, and then pump in new clean water, and the circulation pump will keep that going. So Baby Pebbles 1116 says, I was wondering why your Japan vlogs are still up. A few months ago, I announced that Marie and I had decided to take down 108 videos that she was in. If you guys don't know, Marie is my ex, and we did vlogging together in Seoul, Korea for like at least 3 years. Anyways, we're not together anymore, and at that time, in like, what was it, November or something, we were discussing taking those videos down just because we weren't together, and it was like hard to see some of that stuff. So we were still like acclimating to our newly single lives, and seeing the old footage of us together was a little painful. So some of those videos includes the Japan vlogs. I ended up not taking down any of the videos because Marie and I discussed it a little bit later, that those videos are very helpful, really helpful for a lot of you guys out there. I still get comments on those videos all the time from Korea and even the Tokyo vlogs. People ask for information, people use it when they're trying to arrange their trip and like kind of get an idea of what to do and where to go and what to eat and stuff. So Marie and I were very happy with the memories of those videos, and we don't want to throw those away. And also we want those videos to continue to help you guys when you travel to Korea or Tokyo. Sky Ketty, a fellow half-Korean YouTuber, says, true story, I was eating pho last night and wondered, am I eating it correctly? So, is there a correct way to eat pho as far as using utensils, using sauce, etc.? I really want to know. I cannot speak for Southern style pho because I've never been to Saigon. To my knowledge, Southern style pho, they use the hoisin sauce and like sriracha, some kind of spicy sauce. They have those like in a separate saucer dish. And you can take your meat out of the pho and dip that into the sauce, or like the noodles and the meat and then dip that in the sauce. So I've seen that done in the States, but I've never seen it done here in Hanoi. In northern Vietnam, some restaurants don't even have the hoisin or sriracha condiments on the table. Like actually quite a lot don't. But a lot of them do have a vinegar with garlic and red chili slices in it. And then you kind of add that, as well as the calamansi or kumquat fruit. You squeeze that, or a lime, and then there's a lot of herbs, and then you mix it in. For me, I don't think that there's like one specific right way. Using a spoon, the soup spoon, and then some chopsticks like together, I think that's a good way, and you can kind of like mix your noodles and soup. That's how I see most people eating it, and that's how I eat it. Yeah, I hope that answered your question, dude. I don't know if there's like a correct way, but yeah, just as long as it gets into your mouth, right, and you enjoy it. Vinetree Moodley says, hi Corey, we're from South Africa. The RON to USD exchange rate is appalling to say the least, but we would really like to travel to Korea. Is it possible to do South Korea on a budget? Yeah, you can definitely do Seoul on a budget. What I recommend, instead of me telling you like how to do it and all this stuff, just go on YouTube and search like Seoul on a budget or Korea on a budget. There's so many of my YouTube friends back there that have made videos about this specific topic, so go check them out. You can easily do Korea on a budget. It all just depends on what your budget is. Tacito1920 says, love your videos, Corey. It's not a question, but thanks. Carly CFH says, what do you think is the most difficult part of moving out from a country to another? If we're speaking about like country A to country B, I think the most difficult part of moving from country A to country B would be like probably figuring out your living situation, your job, like how are you gonna make income, moving all your stuff, shipping all your stuff. If you have a lot of stuff, like how are you gonna get it from point A to point B? And then language barrier. So like if country A's language is different from country B, can you communicate well? Do you know any of the language, et cetera, et cetera? So I think those are kind of like the 4 most difficult things about moving from one country to another. Ooh, look, it's a moose asks, what do the locals do to have fun in Hanoi? I would say the number one thing that locals like to do anywhere in Vietnam is just chill. Like chilling with others, chilling with your family or with your friends, whether it's in a cafe, in a restaurant, at a park. People just enjoy each other's company, they enjoy socializing, and if you can add like drinks or food to that kind of a situation, it's even better. So I think that's what most locals do. And then on the weekends, you know, people like to go to the beer halls, or here in Hanoi, people like to go to Ta Hien, the beer corner, and just chill out and eat some good street food and drink some beers and do some people watching. That's always like a huge thing. And then around Huan Kim Lake on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the police actually barricade off the roads so cars and motorcycles cannot drive through there. And that creates a very safe zone for families to come out. So there's a lot of children and people playing. People are doing tug of war, jump rope. Children are playing with Jenga in the street. There's musicians out there. So it's really fun. It's a really fun way for families to get together and spend time here in Hanoi. So finding something unique to the city and like not on the standard tourist trail, that's gonna be a little hard because most of the unique things about this city are being visited by tourists. So for example, like the Hanoi train street, iconic alley street that has the train tracks coming through between where people live, like that's a cool, unique thing to see. But when you go there, there's just a bunch of people with selfie sticks and stuff. So it's hard to say that there's a unique thing in the city that's not going to be on your standard tourist trail. I would suggest looking online because there's probably like bicycle tours that you could do, which is really cool. I also suggest, you know, checking out maybe like a private tour guide, someone that could just take you and only you and no other group just to like anywhere and like show you some local spots. Maybe they'll take you to an area outside of like the Old Quarter. The Old Quarter is the most touristy place in Hanoi. Okay, it's a Jonderful World asks, what would be the coolest animal to scale up to the size of a horse? Now this question is the most awesome question I've received for any Q&A. Thank you. It just, my mind is going crazy. Like I could think of so many different things that would be insane and cool if they were the size of a horse. Like, could you imagine a baby kangaroo? Like the little roo when it's still in the pouch and it has no fur and it's pink. But imagine that the size of a horse, that'd be crazy. I would like to see a tardigrade. Yeah, a tardigrade would be cool. If you guys don't know what a tardigrade is, it's like I think they're called water bears. It's essentially like almost microscopic little creatures. They look like 6-legged bears with like a weird, like one face with a mouth. They survive anything. They survive like deep freeze in space with no oxygen and radiation. They can be frozen for years. They can be in boiling water and acid. Like these things are indestructible. And seeing a tardigrade the size of a horse would be awesome. And I think I already know what it might look like because of the Star Trek Discovery episodes where they have something very similar used to power their spore drive. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, give me a thumbs up and definitely leave a comment below that you're a Trekkie. Feel of Patatas asks, you are not traveler in Asia, but you are traveler in Europe. Which country would you choose for living? So as I mentioned before, I would hands down live in Italy in a heartbeat. I love Italy. I love Italian people. I love the culture. I love the history. I love the food. I love the art, all that stuff. I've never been to any other European country yet. So I can't say I love those countries as well. But from my experiences, from the 12 days I spent in Italy, like Italy, hands down, is where I would live. Okay, and the very last question of this Q&A video is from Lee Pham, I guess. It says, how do you afford your life in Vietnam and what to like the most about Vietnam, Hanoi? As I mentioned before, I work and then I make passive income through YouTube and Patreon, as well as people can donate through PayPal on my YouTube channel. There's like a little link for that. And what do I like the most about Vietnam, Hanoi? I really love the city architecture, like just something about the French old architecture mixed in with the old Vietnamese architecture. And then like the facades of these buildings are kind of like in decay and the paint's peeling off. And it really creates this unique vibe and charm to the city. There's just nothing like it I've seen anywhere else. And so I would say that's probably what I enjoy the most about Hanoi. It's just the city itself visually. All right, guys, I just took the first sip of my coffee since starting the video. It is now cold, but I just wanted to say thanks to everybody for asking all of your questions for this Q&A. I'll probably do another Q&A in a few months, and hopefully I get a lot more questions from you guys then. And you know, if you have further questions, leave them down below in this video. I'll probably answer them there. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.